our Coachman Catalina. Here's the roof we got. Getting all our scaffold set up. And I noticed right here it says soft, but there's nothing here. That seems solid. Now, where's all that water coming from? There it is, right there. Must have rotted that out. Now that edge is all mushy. All the way over here. So this band is rotted, so we'll have to replace that. And that's all it took was that little hole. That's it. The rest of this is good. So what happened is, I don't know if you noticed, the roof has kind of a crown that goes up. So the water got in there, the decking sucked it up back this way, kind of like a sponge, pulled it right back in there. We had a branch come down in here. When we take that off, we'll show you. That's partially why it come in the shop. And then you look over here, you got some of these vulnerable areas right there. You know water is going to get up inside there. So what they want you to do is go around and inspect all of these. When they go to one of those RV centers, when they do your roof, they do it the same exact way. And they're going to expect you to go around and check all of this. But check out that air conditioner. You can't even get your fingers up in there. See all that pollen and debris? All that gets caught up in underneath there. You can't wash it out, but that'll interfere with air conditioning drainage. Then it'll start leaking back into the coach because it's got nowhere else to go. So obviously when we put our curbs up, that'll raise it up. When it raises it up, it'll give it better drainage. Like somebody had already sealed that right there. But overall, if you look at the roof, you'd say the roof doesn't look too bad. It's just filthy. There's nothing you're going to do about all that. It's going to stay that way. That's all you got is that little foam gasket right there. That's all that protects you from the weather. We can see that little gasket in there. You think that may be a leak right there? Possible. We'll take all that apart. We shall keep you updated. Stay tuned for more exciting RV tips. So we got on the other side of the coach. There's this right here. I'm sure it's been leaking on here. And this is just common. This is common problems with these, especially these type of rubber roofs. You can see the damage under there. Actually, that still looks wet right there. We'll end up taking that up. We're going to check the insulation under there as well. This is just the other side. There's the other side of the AC. And again, that's what they're going to want you to check. And you have to do that. If you don't do that yourself or pay somebody, well, if it leaks, they're not going to do anything for you. It could be a brand new roof. If you don't have it squared away, well, that's your problem. You end up spending thousands of dollars over there at an RV center. You get a leak, they don't care. We do all your inspections here. We'll be back. We're back here at this Catalina, this Coachman. And now you can see we got the roof off. You can see some of the damage we have under here. All this damage that I'm going to show you, this is one of the reasons why we don't advocate a coating system, because typically if you have damage, if you don't take the roof off, you're not going to know what's underneath it. So you can see we've got this damage here. This is around the vent. And then I'll go around the other side in just a minute. And most of it is on that other side over there. We'll go over there and take a look. This is what we got on this side, right here. So you can see how that's just rotted out. I feel like I got some wet insulation right here. Then we may have an issue with this band. There's a thin piece in here where the termination bar gets screwed, where the roof rolls around. That termination bar goes in there, but if that's rotted, it's not going to hold well, and it feels it. You can see how, probably see how wet it is right there. So more than likely we'll have to take at least a section of it out and replace it. We could do that when we take the roof deck off. This was the original problem. The tree had hit here. They had caught that, but a lot of these other issues around, like the vents like I'm showing you, those are things, unless you get up there and actually check real thoroughly, you get those little chronic leaks. Those chronic leaks are what cause it to just start rotting out. So we've got some more over here. We're gonna have to fix this, and then we get that up front, and that's pretty common. There's a termination bar that runs from side to side, and if that seal isn't 100%, it's gonna leak. So that's what we got so far. So once we get the roof deck up, then we'll see what we got underneath it for you know, any other damages. Like I said, on the side there, down that other end right there that I was showing you. We'll see what we got, and we'll keep you posted on what we got left. Alright, and we're back. Here's our Coachman Catalina. We got the roof off, so you can see some of the damage we have right here, especially in this corner. This is some really bad insulation wet. It's going to have to come out. You see all the rot in here. Also, there's what's called a band. This is a little band piece. It connects all the trusses together, and it also acts to so you can screw the termination bar to the coach, where the roofing will come around. The roofing will end here. There's a little metal strip, they call it a bar, and that's how you secure in the roofing. But you can see how much rot we have here, so we're going to need to peel this up, see how much we got, and then we'll have to find out how long this piece is to where it's fresh, cut it, replace it, and put that back in there. Get all that wet insulation out there, dry it all out, put some mold kill on there. The other thing we had is this damage over here, and that's due to the vent, so we got to address that as well to get that squared away. And the same thing, tear it out, and we may even have to probably do something with that truss assembly right here that runs all the way across to this other side. If it's compromised, then we'll reinforce it and get it back to where it needs to be. So we got some more damage here. This is where a tree had hit. A tree hit this. There was some tape on it when we got it in the shop. The owner had done that. But some of these things here, like those leaks, those happen when the caulking will fail around the vent. When it fails around the vent, then you get these chronic leaks, because the leaks are so small, but eventually this wood will just start soaking it up like a sponge. So it'll start rotting in one area, then it just obviously sucks it up like a sponge. We have some other damage down here as well. Right here. And then right out the front here, we've got some here. So there is a termination bar that runs all the way across. And again, if you don't watch that caulking, then you're going to have a leak. So we're going to have to put it back the same way, and we're going to have to put a termination bar in there. We're going to have to use some caulking as well. But we use urethane caulking. We don't use the low budget caulking that they use at these RV centers. And also we put 2 layers of caulking. The way we put ours down is we put one thin bead in there, and then once we get the thin bead in, we let that cure, and then we put another layer over that, so it's double sealed, if you will. We'll go over here and I'll show you this rod on this side. Right here. So we'll have to check this out and see. Right now that it sounds good, but we'll see. And if it's wet, it just may be wet, and we could just dry it out and it'll be fine. Doesn't necessarily mean it's rotted just because it's wet. So we'll check all that out, and again we'll get all this wet insulation out of there, mold kill it. See, you got some dampness in there. Yeah, so we're going to get all that out of there. So we'll have to replace some of this decking on here. Then we'll check around with the rest of it and see how it's doing. But we'll know that when we take the roof off and replace it. So we shall keep you posted. More to come from RV Roof Install. We're back over here at this Coachman Catalina. I'm going to show you some of the damage we uncovered. So one of the reasons why we don't do a coating system, a lot of times there's issues with the roof. If you've got a roof that's pretty old, you want to address these issues. And you won't necessarily know it. Now, if you look at some of the other videos that we took before we took it off, the roof actually looked okay. We saw a couple issues that may look compromised, but we didn't know there was quite this much rot under here. And if you put a coating on it, you're going to end up covering up all of this. So we've got obviously this damage here. We've got some wet insulation. Then we got this band right here. This is a band strip that goes, just a thin piece. There's a couple of things. One, there's a truss that runs across. You can see where these join. There's a truss that runs across, and then this connects all those trusses together on both sides. And the other thing it does is when the roofing is laid on, comes around, it rolls, there's a turn bar that fastens to the side. That's where you can see where it was. Somebody had caulked on the top and the bottom of that. But the turn bar will sit there. It's just a thin piece of metal, although they call it a bar. But that'll sit there. But you need something good to screw it to. So since this is rotted, we're going to have to replace this section, find out where it's going to be fresh and not rotted, and then we're just going to have to splice it back together and make it structurally sound. So we've got that right there, and then we've got some damage over there. I'll show you in just a minute. But like I said, if you were to put a coating on this, if you were to get on there and kind of just check a few spots, you wouldn't know until you actually get the roof off the coach to see exactly how much damage there is. So this is where a tree had come through it. This was the original reason why it had come in for this. We've got some more damage down here. You can see how much damage we have here. So again, we'll take all this out, check, make sure that insulation is good. I know down there is wet, so we'll take that insulation out, dry it all out, get a blower on there, and right here as well you can see how much damage is there. And there's a turn bar that runs all the way across, so when you put that turn bar on, and we're going to have to do the same thing, but they just use a really cheap caulking when they do it. And that's why when you get a roof done at an RV center, one of the things they'll tell you is that you're responsible for checking all around your vents, all around your plumbing, all around those areas. You're responsible to do that out of your own pocket, because they use such a low grade caulking. They want you to check it, and if you don't and you have these leaks that show up like this and this damage, they're not going to do anything for you. They won't even help you stop the leaks. So that's something that they tell you to do yourself. With us, you just bring it back here. We take care of everything. We want to see the coaches come back so we can make sure this doesn't happen. But on here, see, we'd have a curb right up on here anyways, and we're going to put a curb up over there in the air conditioner and the skylight, and over here at this vent. We're going to have them up on curbs, so you're not going to have these issues like you do with these. So right here we've got some of this rot. That's pretty bad, and that's wet still right here. You can probably see some of the wetness in there still. So you can see it looks like there's some mold coming in there, but we're going to mold kill all that, dry it all out really well, and get it back to where it needs to be. But there's more to come. We'll keep you updated on how we come along with this and get it all squared away. We got all the sheathing out down there, as you saw. Now we're just working this last piece. I'm going to put some new decking down, make the repairs before we do that, change the insulation out, dry it out, fix this rot, and the other couple issues I showed you earlier. And that'll be us. Stay tuned. Back here at our Coachman Catalina. So if you remember, we had some rotted wood right here on these trusses. So we fixed all that, tightened it up, made some gussets for it, put this piece in. This piece goes all the way down. It shapes in. We got it to fit in. This is a solid piece over here. And then we just put these little gussets on the side, screwed and glued everything all together. Actually, you can see all the glue right here still to my finger. Then the other piece we had was right over here. We just repaired this one right here. We just put that in. So once we got all that squared away, the rest of that wood that's on the other side, that was just wet. It's not rotted. But then we come over here. This was the front that we were showing you, and you can see we got a fan on here now, but we've got some damage in here, and we're going to see. This goes to the inside. So chance of it, if we take this out, on the other side of this is the actual wall covering, and it may not be worth taking out because it really doesn't do anything except for just hold that wall covering there for the look. But structurally, I know we've got some concerns right here that we'll have to fix. And then we're going to check all this, and I've got some, I don't know if you can see how wet that is, but it is wet back here. This is all wet. Get out of the sun maybe. This is all wet here, so we've got this fan on here drying it all out. We're going to see what we can do. Take all that insulation out. We're going to probably end up peeling this whole Phylon piece. We'll probably end up taking that whole thing out, at least off, so we can see what's going on there. We've got it all loosened up all the way down there, and then, like I said, we'll make the repairs to this piece. And this looks like it's at least rotted back to here, anyways. But trying to splice something together like that, if you take this out, you're probably going to affect the ceiling. So we may have to splice it in there, and then we may have to run another piece of steel on top of it to bond it all back together and get it right. So that's what we're going to see where we're at once we get it all dry. But like I said, we'll probably end up spraying this with just some mold kill to make sure there's no mold in there. But unless it's a big problem in the inside, more than likely we're not going to tear it out. Sometimes you just would get into more than the pocketbook would need to get into just for that. If it was a structural issue, I'd probably be more concerned with it. You know, so like I said, something like this we'll replace on this. But this piece here is not a structural issue that would make a difference. So, like I said, that's what we're going to do here. Wait for it to dry out. And let's show you this over here. This other side. That was it over there. And it's more discolored just from being wet, but it's not rotted. And again, we sprayed that with some mold kill as well. So we'll walk around here, get an idea of what we're looking at. Okay. So you can hear that's pretty solid. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. It was just wet. It was all dry right here, so we'll get all these crumbs out, vacuum it out, put the insulation back as long as it's not wet, and replace where it is wet with some fresh. And we're about ready to go. See what this other side looks down here. We're going to be putting on what's called a radiant barrier sheathing on here, help keep the coach clean, cooler. So this side looks pretty well. It's just that corner, that's where the leak started over there and rolled down. But what we're going to be putting on is called this radiant barrier sheathing. You can see it's got an aluminum on one side, and that's what reflects the UV rays back to keep the coach cooler. And if you're going to put sheathing on, you might as well put a little better to help keep the coach cooler. What that'll do is prevent the overload on the air conditioner, because this only has one unit. So we've got all these pieces ready to go, and we're going to glue them all down and fasten them all down as far as we can. Again, we know we got that work to do there, so that may slow us down a bit, and we have to get to that maybe Monday or next week sometime. All right, so we did all the repairs like we showed you, then we just got the roof deck down. We'll cut out the AC and the vents, and so we do that later. But we had some trouble down this end of the roof. we noticed it was really wet. So we took the rest of this off. And this is wet at least. We're going to get a blower on there. And then we still got some damage here. So we want to see how bad we got it, but we're gonna definitely put a blower on there and get it all dry, because this could just be wet and not rotted, which I'm really hoping, because then we'd have to take the siding down to access all that to get inside there. We'll let you know what we got. All right, so we dried all this off. We noticed we have some, this is the front right corner, the driver's side. We noticed we had some delamination. What they did is they took plywood on this one and they cut the plywood on the wrong way, but that's the plies of the plywood that are in here. So they put that on that way. Now when you put a screw in it, you can see it widen that hole. It's not a good application, but it's done that way all the way down, so we'd end up having to rip everything apart. I don't think that's really necessary to do it. We'll just get it all fastened back together. We'll show you that after we get it done. Got some rot right here. We're going to cut this piece out. We'll replace it. This one has two pieces on it, so we're going to cut it back. We'll replace it. We're going to cap it. So one of the things to keep in mind when you have a coach is this piece, this sealing piece is glued to the top here all the way down. If we start tearing all this up, now we're getting into sealing issues. Same thing here. I don't like the look of that, but if in the inside it's okay, you could really start digging into the wallet to try to fix something that is just not necessary to fix. So this just maintains the curve of that phylon. So we're going to fix this, and then we'll show you how we're going to lace it over with a piece of metal to pull it back together. And we'll stitch this whole corner all back together. Here, we'll get it all squared away. So we're going to get some of that done, and then we'll come back and show you how we got it, and you'll see where we're up to. Okay, so we took out this rotted piece that we had right here. We cinched just a new piece in there, and then what we did on here is we laced it over with some steel, and then we cinched. You see the screws coming through that way. We have screws going in there because this is real soft. We're going to put another piece on top of here so we have something to screw the corner mold on. And then that one there that we just fixed, right here, we just put some glue on it. And this is we're gonna cinch all this together as well, and that'll tie it all together without having to tear everything apart. But be plenty strong enough. Be plenty strong enough.
It's actually.
So we've got more insulation in here. We stitched all this back together with some steel to bring it all back together. Then what we did under here is inside the coach, we put some foam in there. You can see it. That's to hold the interior sealing piece up. And we've got all this glued together. We stitched all this in with steel as well. And we tightened it all up with screws on the inside there, where my finger is. So we cinched it all together this way. And now we're going to glue it down. We're going to fasten it all in there, put the phylon back on. And then we're going to get going with this roof. So we'll show you the inside, what we're talking about in a second. So this is the sealing area that we were just talking about up in the top where we put some foam. We just press that back in. If we didn't do that, we'd have to replace this whole entire piece on there. May not be able to find that. Then we'd have to shape it in, probably remove the cabinet, because we'd have to get it tucked down into the cabinet so it would look right. Be a lot of work unnecessarily. So what we're going to do is put that on there. And if there's still something there, the owner could probably put a wider piece of molding on here, like this one is, if they wanted to, but it's fine now. All the repairs have been done. We just try to get that to sit tighter up there. That's what we're trying to do, just so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. So we got the roof deck on. We made those repairs down there like we showed you. And then if you look at this discoloration right here, what we did is some of this OSB and the way it's framed, even from the camping place, the manufacturer, sometimes there'll be a little burp. One will be higher than the other. So what that stripe is, we took a sander, we went down there so it would sit nice. Went through all the seams. We're going to put a strip over this anyways. We'll put a buffer strip on there. We did them all. We sanded them all down just to make it look smooth. We also hit the edge right here a little bit. We'll put yet another piece that'll come on over this edge here. That'll protect the edge because this is just metal. Up underneath here is metal siding. so we don't want it to compromise the main roof. So we're going to do that and get that all squared away. We'll be putting the roof down pretty soon. We always leave when we do a new roof deck, we don't cut out the vents or anything, because it's easier for us so we don't step in the holes. And we just cut them all out afterwards. We mark them all out, all the sides. We make notes on the side so we know where everything is. This is our Catalina Coachman. We've got the refrigerator, AC on there, rather. All our boots in, roof's done, everything's sealed. We can put new gutter ends on there. And something the customer wanted us to do is go around all the windows. So we went around with all new sealant down there, around the door, all around the coach. With some nice sealant. So it's all welded in. Geez, they're ready to roll.